Who says defense doesn't win you championships? What a game that we saw earlier today as the Michigan Panthers defeat the Memphis Showboats with a dominant performance on the defensive side of the ball. Give that defense a lot of credit. That's one of the best defenses. That actually might be the best defense in all of the UFL. When you talk about guys like Breland Speaks, when you talk about Kai Nakua, guys like that that make plays after plays after plays for you. That's what wins you championships. This is our Inside the Huddle UFL post-game show. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you all for joining in. I am on the road on the way to the gym right now. So, yeah, might as well go ahead and go live on my way in. Everybody do us a favor because we're starting to get some people up in here. Make sure you do us a favor. If you're watching us on X, make sure you like, repost to all those groups. Make sure you repost it to all those followers that you guys have. Share it to your friend groups. Make sure that you let them know, hey, Luke, we're live right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Give us your thoughts on all the action that happened earlier today as we prepare for Birmingham and D.C. later on. I think it's on right now. I could be wrong. But we're going to briefly go over this, and we'll give you a little bit of updates around that Birmingham and that DC game. But again, every post-game show is brought to you by our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com. Use that code LucasHill10 so that you can get a fresh 10% off of your first month whenever you use code LucasHill10. Guys, a lot that needs to be talked about following this game. And honestly, guys, when I looked at the total stats, I was amazed. You know, you're talking about, I knew that this was going to be a fairly even ball game. It sucks that the over-under had to come down to essentially the last play. I know those that were hitting it, wanting the under to hit. I know your hearts must have been churning. Your overs might have been a bit excited, and then just the sheer disappointment and then happiness of your bet finally hitting, but that was a crazy ending to that game. So, all right, let's talk about the fourth quarter itself. I think that if Memphis was going to win this game, Mike Nolan's squads have been known for their time of possession. Same with St. Louis. They love to burn as much clock as they can, and they did so. But I'll give Memphis this. If they would have came back and won this football game, this might have been one of the all-time best wins in UFL history. Just knowing with what they've had to go through this week. You lose your head coach due to a leave of absence. You talk about all the craziness. I think Memphis had the worst week that they've had. You bring in a head coach who has never been a head coach before in any profession. Not to mention, he hasn't been a coordinator in his life in Jim Turner. And he comes in and he helps lead this team to, honestly, it was a pretty decent game up until that final drive that Memphis had where you drive down the field, you made some big key third down conversions, a couple fourth downs that you were able to get. I think that 4th and 12 conversion you should have had. I think that's one that D. Anderson has to corral. It was a great defensive play. Make no mistake about that. Guys, D. Anderson has to come down with that football at the end of the day. At the end of the day, D. Anderson has to make a play on the football. Regardless, I think Memphis shot themselves in the foot early on. And I think that's essentially what cost them the football game, was the early mistakes that would lead to much bigger problems down the stretch of a game. I think if you don't have that, then you're in a much better position than where you were at that point in the game, having to come back from down 2 possessions and try to win the football game. I think you could have had a lot better play calling. I understand it was your first. You got a play caller that has really not called plays before. I don't remember what the kid's name, but honestly, I was pretty satisfied. He didn't do that bad for the first game of the season. I think this is a Memphis team that I think can really gradually improve over the course of the season. Reminder, guys, this was the worst team in the UFL last year, and they did a hell of a lot better than what I expected. Do I think their offensive line broke down a ton? Hell yeah. Do I think they need more stability at the quarterback position? Hell yes, they do. EJ Perry looked on and off. Troy Williams, excuse me, had a pretty decent drive before and the drive after, leading this team down, getting a touchdown. You failed a 2-point conversion to make it 14-20, but you were able to make this a ball game. That's essentially what kept you in the game, is the playmaking capability of a guy like Troy Williams. Made some big throws. I think both quarterbacks did very well, and I think they're going to continue to rotate quarterbacks going into next week. I would not be surprised if that's the case. But I think your offensive line lost the battle up front big time. I think you could have gotten a lot better from that point. I think if you would have improved there, I think you might have had a chance to win the game. But unfortunately, that just did not happen at the end of the day. But hats off to Michigan. That front four, we talked with Zach Linfield earlier a couple weeks ago, and we said the strength of this team was the defensive line, and they proved that this week, today. Braylon Speaks, what a game for the UFL Defensive Player of the Year. Guys, this is a league of second chances. Braylon Speaks is going to get his. Whether he play, because the guy switched out in and everywhere. He was playing a bit of interior, was playing off the edge. Guys, he is a do-it-all defensive lineman. And he is an integral part to Michigan's success on the defensive side of the ball. If Michigan wants to continue to be a contender in the USFL conference, if they're going to win the conference this year, they're going to have to essentially rely on their front four. That's what's going to win them a lot of games at the end of the day. Whether we want to admit it or not, Michigan's offense just is not there just yet. It's the bottom line to that. But guys, I was really impressed with this game. I think that there's a lot of issues on both sides that I think they could fix. I think Michigan got bailed out because of their defensive line and a bad read by Troy Williams. But at the end of the day, it's the reads that that Memphis team has to improve. You talk about a team that was borderline unbearable to watch on the front foot on that offensive side of the ball last year. I thought they had their growing pains before a team that had a rough week, that had to change personnel, that kind of lost some stability after Ken Wisenhunt took that leave of absence. They performed really well. I thought if they had won this game, this would probably have been the biggest win in UFL history, probably the biggest upset in UFL history after all they went through. Regardless, guys, that's the bottom line. That's what lost you the game. It's just your inability to protect your quarterbacks who were constantly on the move. Constantly on the move. We talked about the same way for the St. Louis and the Houston game. I said Houston was going to have to protect your quarterbacks because of how dominant St. Louis had been on their defense. And they didn't. The same thing happened today. So, guys, I know it's been a 10-minute little video. I wasn't going to be long here today. I just wanted to hop on to a quick reaction video to this. Guys, thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining our Inside the Huddle UFL postgame show. We'll be back tomorrow to recap DC, and Birmingham and do a quick recap of all around the UFL. This week, we're going heavy UFL action. Doing previews, doing recaps, doing keys to victory, a lot of things going around the UFL. The UFL is going to be our main priority over the next 10 weeks, all the way leading up to the end of the summer. I'm extremely excited for this season. We're going to have a great season, guys. I know fan attendance at games has been lackluster, but guys, I encourage you, if you are watching right now, and I have about 12 of you right now watching, if you are around the Birmingham, if you're in an area that has a UFL team, go to the games. You will have a blast watching. You get a live view of the command center. Everything you see on TV, you're going to get as good, if not a better experience. Guys, I encourage you, go to the games. You will have a blast. Guys, thank you for watching. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good one.